podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, April 4th, 2021, Bunny Day. This is episode 1785. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Babbel. Babbel has made learning new languages fun and easy, with bite-sized lessons you'll actually use in the real world. Purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months free. Go to Babbel.com, use the promo code TechGuy. And by Stamps.com. Stamps.com allows businesses to do all their mailing and shipping right from their computer. No need to leave your home or office for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and enter the code TWiT. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, augmented reality, virtual reality, real reality. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you want to talk high tech, I'm here for you. I'm your tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still call. You just have to use Skype out. It shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. By the way, everything on the show ends up on the website, including the show itself, audio and video. Takes us a day or two to get that there, but that will be also there. And you'll find that at techguylabs.com. The reason I mention that is so that you don't have to write anything down. Don't freak out while I'm talking. You can write anything down, get the links that I mention. You can also comment. You can yell at me. It's all there, and it's free. No sign up. techguylabs.com. That's, it's going to be an interesting month of April. Here we are in April. Skipped April Fool's Day. I hope you did. Oy. That's the worst time of the year for tech journalists because you never know. You know, all these tech companies, they love their April Fool's jokes. Oh, man, do they. Fortunately, Google decided this year to give it a rest. 2 years in a row now. Maybe we could make this a trend. I'm just saying. Could keep doing that, Google. See? No, nobody was hurt. In fact, I bet your productivity went up. People aren't working on April Fool's jokes. Problem is, I see there's all these press releases and stuff, and if they come out around April 1st, you have to think about it, well, should I, did that? For instance, Volkswagen America, and they did it on March 29th. So I thought, well, this is not an April Fool's joke. They said, I should have known. I mean, it didn't sound real. We're going to rename ourselves Volt, with a T, Volkswagen of America, because we're going all electric. Then they said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it that early. I think this is a true story. It came out yesterday. That's April 3rd. So that's got to be enough distance from April Fool's. You never know. But I think it's true. This is the month, of course, that we expect stuff from Apple. But later this year, we're going to get new stuff from Google. Their new Pixel phone. They've kind of let the Pixel kind of glide. It's in a glide path. Maybe tilted a little toward the ground. Slow decline. Nothing new in the 5, really. So much so that I didn't really feel like I had to go buy it. I just said, well, I got a Pixel 4. That's close enough. That's what normal people say. But that's not for me normal. I like always get the new thing. So it looks like Google's going to do pull an Apple and design their own chips for the new Pixel phones. Now, that would be an interesting thing. Pixel and Chromebooks. They're supposedly co-developing this with Samsung. Samsung makes some very nice processors. And maybe this fall's Pixel phones will be powered by a new Google chip. That I would be interested in. I'd be excited by. I think that would be kind of cool. The dominant chips on desktop and laptops are Intel. But Intel has been kind of, another talk about coasting, another kind of slow glide path heading straight toward the ground, maybe a little less slow. No progress at all in the last 4 or 5 years, which is interesting because AMD, which is their arch rival and always has been, has started to, really pick up some steam. I just got a new PC on the AMD Ryzen 7 platform. Man, is that thing fast. Very nice. And less expensive than Intel. Very nice. Good for gaming. Very nice. And Intel never made it onto the phones. It was always a Qualcomm thing, even for Apple, until Apple finally was able to force Qualcomm out. They still made their own chips. Apple did for the iPhone, but the Qualcomm owned the patents for the modems, the things that communicated with the phone network, and so they had to put those Qualcomm chips in. They even tried Intel chips. In fact, a couple of generations ago, Apple put out a phone, I think it was the 10, that had iPhone 10, that had both. It was pick 'em. You luck of the draw. It had both Moderna and Pfizer. No, that's wrong. It had both Intel and Qualcomm. But the Intel chips were so terrible, the data speeds on those iPhones were so bad, they artificially this tells you everything. Slowed down the Qualcomms so people wouldn't say, "Wow, this one's a lot faster than that one. Wonder what's inside." Oh, you got the Johnson & Johnson chip. The one shot. No, I'm confusing that again. It's but to see, that's something people like me, geeks, don't like it. If you put a part in a computer or a phone and the part is artificially slowed down so that other people don't feel jealous, that's just terrible. No wonder Apple said, "Yeah, Intel, thanks, but no thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye." And apparently Google's going to do that too. So, make of that what you will. This is the month Apple will probably announce at least a new iPad, the iPad Pro. First Apple product to use this new mini LED screen technology, reportedly very much better than the current state of the art. So that's good. And it'll be more powerful. In fact, the iPad Pro is a little bit behind the Mac. It will now kind of catch up. The new chip we expect in the new iPad Pro coming out, again, we expect this month, but, Apple can change on a dime. We expect that will have the A14X, which is basically the M1 for iPad. But here, I just saw an interesting rumor, and it's a rumor, that Apple is also working on a new iMac. Somebody called yesterday, said, "Should I get a new Mac today?" No, because they won't announce it probably in April, but 2 or 3 months hence, in June, we know June 7th, the Worldwide Developers Conference, Apple traditionally does announce new iMacs at that time, and the credible leaker, that's, as they say, that's the name of my new wave band, credible leaker, Love to Dream, and said that he expects a new, even bigger iMac with a bigger screen. And he says, he tweets, it was a private tweet, he tweets, the iMac screen is really big, bigger than the biggest one. Biggest one's right now 27-inch. Apple does make a monitor that's 32 inches. Yeah, an iMac with 32-inch display, that'd be nice. One of the reasons I got that new computer is I was getting tired of the 27-inch screen. In fact, I had 3 of them. I had the iMac and 2 other screens, but it was kind of clunky. There's big bezels. Apple's not known for, the frame around the screen. They were big, and So that was one of the reasons I got a new computer, because I wanted a better screen. So, I didn't get a 32. I got a 55-inch screen. Okay, that might be overkill. It's basically a giant TV. But with because computer monitors are higher quality than your TV, higher quality, OLED, beautiful, giant. I had to get a new desk chair because I was looking up at it. That's bad. That's put the crick in your neck. So I had to get a higher chair. So now I'm looking a little bit down on it. My glide path also down. So we'll see. It'll be in June, probably. A new iMac, also rumored with a new chip from Apple that will have 16 cores. The current chip has 8, so that's twice as many. And wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. 20 cores, 16 high-performance cores, 4 efficiency cores. And like Easter eggs, the new iMacs will come in many colors. So, rumor, just a rumor. These guys have been wrong before. John Prosser, one of the guys who's spreading the word here, has no eyebrows because the last rumor, he said there'll be a big Apple event on March 23rd. And this was a mistake. He tweeted, if there's not an event on the 23rd, I'll shave my eyebrows. So he has no eyebrows. So maybe we shouldn't believe him. Bloomberg, which is a little more credible, Mark Gurman over there has some good sources at Apple, says the new iMac will feature slimmer bezels. Good. Those are again, that frame is too big. Everybody else is doing little skinny little bezels. The removal of the metal chin. It's not quite as bad as removing your eyebrows, but there's a big chunk at the bottom if you look at the iMacs. And a design language similar to the Pro Display XDR, which is 32 inches. So we'll see. I only mention that in passing so that you understand that if you're thinking about a new Mac, it might be worth waiting just a bit. 8888 ask Leo. Did I mention that's the phone number? I believe I did. If you want to talk high tech, I would love to talk high tech with you, answer your questions, get all the info you need. For your love. Hotline. See, Professor Laura said she was running out of songs. I don't think so.
She'll keep finding out.
I don't think so.
I know, laboriously all week long, she's looking for something new.
That's good. She works hard.
Yes.
Ms. Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer, the unbreakable phone angel. She is the woman who will take your calls. When the phone rings, she will pick up. She will say, number, please. No, you don't do that. Welcome to the hotline. Who should, by the way, Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. You look all schnazzy today.
I thought I would.
A three-piece suit.
I'm wearing a three-piece.
On the radio.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of cuckoo. And I've made the room colors purple.
Yes, I love it. I want
like
you to do
Easter
purple
egg.
all the time.
It's pretty.
It's my favorite color.
And I'm wearing my Grateful Dead Jerry Garcia tie that looks like it was dipped in an Easter egg dyer and a plaid suit. I need a pink carnation and I'll be set.
Oh, I should have brought you one.
Who should I talk to
Let's
first?
go to Jeff in Thunder Bay. He's a leftover from yesterday.
Oh, I know. I
He
felt so
called
bad.
back, so I'm so happy.
Thank you, Jeff. Oh, I feel terrible. And thank you, Kim, for facilitating that. Jeff, it was worse than it sounds because I announced your name and I said hello and then I didn't talk to you.
And I'm yelling at my phone, Leo, I'm here.
I'm
Leo,
here. And then I went click. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you called back.
Hey, no worries. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter in Thunder Bay, which is probably one of the best names. Canada has a lot of good place names, but Thunder Bay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one for sure.
Are you on a bay?
Yeah, we're on a Thunder Bay is a bay on Lake Superior.
Ah, do you get a lot of thunder?
Lots, yes.
Good.
It rolls in from the west over the prairies and comes to us, and the forefathers absolutely named the place well.
They knew. You know what Gordon Lightfoot says?
I do.
Lake Gitchigumi, Superior, it says, never gives up its dead. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Hey, I'm frustrated with Outlook.
Oh, who isn't? Now, before we even go any farther, one of the frustrating things is Microsoft names a number of different things Outlook. So I have to ask you, which Outlook? Are you talking about Outlook.com, their webmail? Are you talking about the Outlook that comes with Microsoft Office?
That comes with Office.
Okay.
So I tend to use Gmail for my own personal emails. Its work uses Outlook.
Yeah, that's very common, yeah.
So we used to use GroupWise with Novell from Novell, and
Outlook's better than that, right? I hope.
Yes, and everyone was like, "Oh, Outlook should be better." And we went to Outlook about 5 years ago or so. But what drives me nuts is the search capabilities, and I know that they did an update to their search recently, and it's like, we finally have fixed our search, supposed to be better, But because I've got so many emails from over a long period of time, and I have so many folders in the cabinet, it just doesn't go deep enough. It can't usually find things, or it gives me messages like, we have to connect to the Microsoft Exchange, or you've got more emails on the server. Do you want us to download them? It just can't find what I'm looking for.
So your company is using a Microsoft email technology called Exchange, and that's why they make you use Outlook. It's very widely used in enterprise. It's also, by the way, and I'm hoping your company has mitigated this, had a terrible security flaw a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of systems were compromised because of it. But that doesn't matter for you. What you should know is you don't have to use Outlook to log into an Exchange server. There are third-party alternatives.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so if you hate Outlook, but you want something for a better mail client. Well, before I say that, I should mention, and the chat room's reminded me, there's a product called X1 Search, which is really the best search I've ever seen on Windows. It's so cool. And it will search through your Outlook inboxes like fast, x1.com. And I love the way it works because you type the first letter, finds everything that matches. Second letter finds as you type letters, it narrows it down. And it does it almost instantly. It's really remarkable. So
nice.
if your only complaint is search, then at least try x1.com. It's not free, unfortunately, but it's a good choice, and maybe you get your company to buy it because it is really, really fast.
Okay.
And it doesn't just search Outlook; it searches everything. So, so if that doesn't work, there are other email programs. If it's more than just the slow search that you don't like, there are other email programs. I don't have any experience with any of them, so I'm not going to say, oh, you got to use this or that. But you can look for, Exchange clients. Hexamail is very popular. Hexamail. A lot of people say that's the best client for Exchange. It will also import the thing that's good about Exchange is the email isn't stored locally. It's stored on their server, unless you explicitly delete it. So you could try different clients, and you'd get the same email. You'd get the same view. So there's no risk to trying out a bunch of them. I would try Hexamail, see if it's better.
Okay.
And let me ask the chat room if they have any alternatives they prefer. I am not a fan of Outlook for a lot of reasons, but I don't use Exchange, and that's really the compelling reason to use Outlook. So search for Exchange substitutes. Hexamail is the only one I'm sure of. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Then there are other things. So X1's a start. If is it just the search, or are there other things you don't like about Outlook?
Yeah, there were other things that that I really liked in GroupWise, and I know that Outlook doesn't have them.
Yeah.
But it's the search that drives me nuts. Just because because of what we do, and then sometimes you keep 10 or 15 years worth of stuff, and I keep them in the cabinet, and then you got to go. Yeah. You got to go and find them, and in GroupWise, it seemed to be a much easier search to find stuff and pull old stuff up.
Well, the thing is that you're exporting them into cabinets so that you don't have them all local. You don't have them, tying up your inbox. That probably slows it down. Do look at rebuilding. The chat room saying you should also consider rebuilding the index in Outlook, which you can do if you go to File, Options, Indexing Options. And that will speed up search, but not, I don't think, of cabinets. You might have to do those individually.
I wondered about, moving everything over to Gmail, forward everything to Gmail and just create a separate...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could totally do that. Well, that's a good question. So here's the problem. Exchange is its own thing as opposed to IMAP or POP, the old global standards, the internet standards. Exchange is its own thing. Does Gmail work with Exchange? Maybe. If you really like Gmail, it would take a while because you'd have to get all 10 years of that. Yeah, I guess you can use, it looks like you might be able to use, to get your mail from Exchange. You can get, I know you can from other servers.
Right.
It looks like there is an Active Sync app that will let you copy it over. Yeah, Gmail, of course. That's Google's lifeblood is search. So.
Okay. Well, I've got some ideas to try. We'll try a few things.
I sympathize, but Outlook has become the de facto standard, hasn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah. For work, it has.
Yeah.
Because it's the control factor.
Yeah. They can run the server. They control it much better. Yeah. I think Gmail will do Exchange. If it won't, then you can. I think you can go get your mail from Gmail. That's worth a try. Hey, nice to talk to you. I'm sorry we put you off yesterday, but I'm glad you got through.
Yeah, never a problem. Thanks so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take care, Jeff.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot. Thanks.
We'll have more of the Tech Guy Show in just a bit. Our sponsor today. Oh, I love Babbel. I don't know if you know, I mentioned I'm going to Mexico in October. That means now there's a deadline. I've got 6 months to learn Spanish. Fortunately, that's going to be plenty of time. Thanks to Babbel. I got Babbel on my phone. The thing that's great about Babbel is you do 15-minute lessons, bite-sized lessons, and you're learning a language you're actually going to use. I remember in high school, we learned phrases like la plume de ma tante, my aunt's pen. You know what? That doesn't come up a lot in conversation. Babbel's teaching you things that you're going to be using. Things like, oops, I turned off the sound. Hello and goodbye and adios, and how to order in a restaurant. They have 14 different languages. As I said, say again? Asia. See, that's she. Yeah. Yo, that's I. Yeah. Though, it's kind of fun. They gamify it, right? They make it gracias. You're also learning pronunciation, and then, by the way, they have a great tool for practicing your pronunciation with the app, so that you're not only learning the dialogue, you're not only learning the vocabulary, you're learning how to say it properly. This is not like the language lessons you took in school. Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind, things you'll use in everyday life. Beginners start with typical greetings like, hello, how are you? You'll build up to practical dialogues. Can I book a single room? Where is the mezcal tasting? Things like that. Other language learning apps use AI for their lessons plans. Not Babbel. They actually have over 100 language experts helping to build these great lessons. Their teaching method is scientifically proven to be effective. Choose from Spanish, French, Italian, German, 14 languages, and that speech recognition technology really helps you refine your speech. Babbel just added something even better. You can join in conversational groups with native speakers and other learners, which is the best way to learn, right? To learn kind of in the environment. I am so excited. I've got 6 months. You can help me. 6 months to learn Spanish. I'm going to do it with Babbel. You can too. In fact, we've got a great deal with Babbel. When you pay for a 3-month subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. 6 months for the price of 3. Perfect. Go to Babbel, Babbel.com. The promo code is TechGuy. Babbel.com, promo code TechGuy. You too can be speaking French or German or Spanish or any of 14 languages soon. Let me tell you what I'm doing.
Aprendo
español.
¿Puedes repetir?
No, I can't repeat that. I got a ways to go. Babbel.com. Use the offer code TechGuy for 6 months for the price of 3. It's time for the car guy. Sam Abuelsamid is here, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He hosts the Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every week to talk about this ever-changing world of car technology. Hi, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you this week?
I am great. I'm feeling good. I put a 3-piece suit on.
I see that.
To attend services here at the Tech Guy, the Church of the Tech Guy. So what are we talking about today?
So a couple things. First off, I want to start off with NVIDIA GTC. This is NVIDIA's GPU Technology Conference. And this year, for the second year running, they are doing it virtually for obvious reasons. And this year, last year, I think they charged $99 to attend.
It's a developer conference, right?
It's a developer conference, but this year it's absolutely free.
Nice.
No charge at all.
Yeah, I think we're going to. Jensen Huang does the keynote every year, and I think you're on your recommendation. We're going to do our usual streaming of the keynote with commentary because I think this
Did I recommend that?
You might have. I think it's a big year because look at what NVIDIA's into. I mean, the first known as makers of graphics cards for computers. Now, of course, and they still are kind of the king of the hill if you're a gamer. Although, they, again, good competition from AMD. They're also very popular with crypto coin miners, Ethereum and Bitcoin. You need a very fast GPU. They're also now popular for artificial intelligence.
Very big in automotive now.
And then in automotive. So 4 categories because the difference, but tell me what the difference is between a CPU and a GPU.
So CPUs are, traditionally been more general purpose processing. The way they're architected is different. They tend to do more things in sequence. There's less parallelism, although they have gotten more parallel over the years. And we got multi-core processors now, but GPUs in general, ever since the beginnings of, with NVIDIA, have been very highly parallelized. So I mean, you have
initially they were designed to like blast textures on the screen, to draw 15 enemies at the same time and all of that.
Exactly.
So that's, for gaming, that was a sensible thing.
Right, and over the years, NVIDIA developed all kinds of frameworks that allow, and the CUDA language that allows developers to use their GPUs for all kinds of other things, including automated vehicles. But they're also used to power the infotainment systems in a lot of cars. My wife's Honda Civic has an NVIDIA Tegra processor in there driving the infotainment system.
So you kind of can think of a CPU as kind of the thing doing like your basic word processing and math, and the GPU is the thing that's handling life. It's designed to handle life, lots of inputs, that kind of thing. And
the vast majority of all the development programs for automated vehicles out there are using at least some NVIDIA processors. There are some that are, using a complete NVIDIA platform, like the Orin platform or the Pegasus, but even those that are still using CPUs, primarily Intel CPUs, are also using using NVIDIA GPUs alongside that to do a lot of the AI processing, a lot of the perception software. They're also using it extensively for simulation. That's what my background is right now. Is actually a couple of scenes on the left is an actual scene captured by the camera on the vehicle. On the right is a synthetic scene that was taking that raw data that was captured. And one of the things that you can do with the NVIDIA simulation platform is you can take the data and manipulate it to change the lighting, to add more other vehicles in there, to change the weather patterns. So that's on the right on the screen is actually the night scene is actually synthetic simulation training data generated from that original data, and then you can use that to do all kinds of different scenarios to test different cases and make sure that the systems are working. But for anyone that's interested in learning more about this stuff, there's over 80 sessions at GTC that are just dedicated to automotive related topics. A lot of automated driving, simulation, developing infotainment systems. So there's all kinds of interesting stuff. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to nvidia.com and register for free, and then you'll be able to watch the sessions. I think they'll be online for a month afterwards. They'll run live, but then they'll stay online for a while afterwards. And of course, you can also check out Jensen's keynote, which is always an interesting show, shall we say.
They usually long, right? They're
usually 2 hours at a minimum.
Yikes!
But he's quite the showman. He does not work from a script. He doesn't use prompters.
Good.
He he knows. I mean, he knows all this stuff, and it's all completely off the cuff.
Yeah.
So they've got a rundown, but there's no script, and they do live demos, and it's pretty amazing to watch.
Very cool. I mean, it really has become. And by the way, the proof's in the pudding. You can't find these cards anywhere. It's become a very popular processor platform. So
the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was Extreme E. We've previously talked about Formula E, which is an open wheel electric racing series that launched about 6 years ago now. But there's a new series that just launched today. Was the first race, the first event. It was in Saudi Arabia. It's off-road desert racing. They've designed this purpose-built electric off-road buggy, and it's a very interesting format. They have a desert course that's about 11 miles long, and they do a series of heats and then semifinals and finals and qualifying sessions and everything. And each team has 2 drivers, one male, one female driver, and for each heat, each of the drivers does 1 lap. And then they come in and switch. So they're trying to promote more female drivers, but also it's a different form of racing. Again, all electric. They've got.
Are they as fast as the gas-powered cars?
Oh yeah. These things are quick. I guess one of the challenges they were experiencing during the initial shakedowns of these vehicles is they actually had to back off a little bit because they were overheating the batteries.
Oh,
it's you can, the video is running over my shoulder here. You can see these things are pretty fast. Actually, there's one clip there that they just showed from qualifying. One of the drivers got a flat. Had a puncture and finished like the last half with the tire
on a rim.
So it just kept on going.
Wow, that's a lot of power. I feel like because of the batteries, they're going to be heavier vehicles, so they're not going to be as snappy as say NASCAR or Formula One.
No, well, these off-road vehicles, because they're built for durability, tend to be
heavy
hefty anyway.
Would you see road races? Traditional. Track racing with electric vehicles, or are they just not?
Oh yeah, that's happening now with Formula E.
Wow.
They're doing road racing with that.
But the pit stops are a little longer, half an hour, so they can charge up.
Well, they time it that the batteries are long enough. The races are 45 minutes.
Oh, they're shorter races.
Okay. So they can go on the full race on one charge.
Very cool. As you know, I'm a big fan of electric vehicles, so. I'm very interested in seeing them used in all sorts of ways. I think racing is a good way to develop car technologies, right? That's one of the reasons companies like Ford participate in these races, because they're learning.
Yeah, and we're seeing more hybridization. We're going to see more electrification. And for anybody that's interested in checking this out, you can go to YouTube and just look for Extreme E and look at the Extreme E channel, and they've got the clips of all the heats and all the qualifying sessions. So
this
and everything
one
on there
was off road big time.
Yeah. So there'll be 4 more races this year, 4 more events this year.
Sam Abuelsamid, he does this for a living. Researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He also hosts a fabulous podcast all about automotive technology called Wheel Bearings at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every week. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Leo. Talk to you next week.
I'm sorry you had the coughing fit. I've had that happen to me. It's very hard to... you got to cough, talk.
Yeah, I know.
It's bad. Well, I hope you have a great week. Did you get the shot? I can't remember.
I did, yes. I'm getting the second shot a week from Tuesday. So my wife and I both got the first shot.
A week from Wednesday. So we'll...
did you get the Moderna or the Pfizer?
Moderna.
Okay, that's the one we got too.
I got the Italian one, Moderna. Yeah, I'm excited. Lisa's getting hers Sunday, week from today. So we're going to... She says, but I'm still wearing a mask everywhere forever. I said, you know what? You're not going to have to. She said, no, I am. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Have a great week. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, you too, Leo.
Take care.
And have a good vacation this week.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, we're going to Calistoga for about 4 days. It'll just be a quickie, but it's going to be the first one.
Yeah, do it early this year before fire season.
Yes, before it burns down. Oh, my God. All right, take care, Sam. Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
bye.
yeah. Where we got married, and it was burnt to the ground. So we're going to a different place this time, but it'll be nice. Won't be getting a massage or the hot springs or any of that. Take care, Sammy. Are you playing this because I look so sharp today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Richard's on the line from Torrance, California. Hi, Richard.
Hi, glad to finally speak with you. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend.
I am, and I hope you are too, and thanks for your patience. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm having a major problem with Facebook. I know, and everybody else is too. But here's what happened. Guy got into my account, and their way of checking whether you're who you say you are is to send either your telephone number or one or two email addresses that you can go ahead and get a new password and get in. Well, he went ahead and got in my account somehow and altered all that information. And now I'm fading away all my accounts. I've got a business account, I've got a political account, and I have my personal account, and I can't get to any of them. And there are no more human beings working for Zuckerberg who can answer a question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid I can't help you either. So that just as a cautionary tale for everybody, that's why it's important with your Facebook account to really lock it down, have two-factor authentication turned on. That'll make it much harder to hack. Have a good password. How do you think they hacked you?
I don't know. Somebody offered me money or something, and I refused to give them any information. But simply talking to this individual and saying, I don't want to fool with any of this stuff. I thought it was being real protective, but somehow he got enough information off my account where he could go in and alter everything.
That's terrible. Now, so you can't log in. You've tried to log in, and it just says, no, that's the wrong password.
Right. That's the wrong password.
And the recovery stuff no longer works either now.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I don't want to lose all my friends, all my business, and I'm the administrator on the political account.
No, you certainly, if it's a business account especially.
Yeah.
If you look at Facebook and you say, how do I recover an account? They say, make sure you're logged into your Facebook account. That makes no sense. How can I recover my account? Oh, log in. No, I lost my account. So you're going to have to depend on the, good offices of Facebook. At some point, you have to get a hold of them. They will then ask you to identify yourself at a higher level with a picture of an ID, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it, too. But once you put in the picture, what I did do is I went to Instagram and I went to other places with my wife's got an account. And I tried to go ahead and put all my information into them and say, here's who I am.
So you've gone to all of your one of the things Facebook does is save your login. So check all your devices to see if any of them are still logged in, because that's going to be the easiest. If that doesn't work, in other words, even though on your main computer you can't log in, you remember when you log into Facebook, it only asks for your password once, and then it remembers it's you. If you still have an authenticated login somewhere, that would help. And then as another, this isn't going to help you, but as another cautionary tip, especially with a page or a business account, you should have a second admin. So if this happens, you have two people. Did you set up trusted contacts?
I don't believe.
Yeah. So this happens so often. Facebook actually has a lot of things but if you've lost your account completely, then you're going to just have to rely on getting a hold of Facebook. Eventually, I think you'll be able to get a hold of somebody and verify it's you. Facebook's security is far from the best. They've made it so as an individual, you can do a pretty good job. For instance, don't use a phone number. You can have a phone recovery number, but don't use a phone number for your two-factor. Use an authentication app, or even better, a physical key like a YubiKey. That's going to make it extremely hard, even if somebody phishes you, for them to log into your account, because those Second factors are time-based, and so they're only good for 30 seconds. So even if you gave him everything, he'd have to take over your account in 30 seconds or less. Once it's shot like this, and it really sounds like it's shot, you've got to go to Facebook and just hope you can get somebody. I don't have any special connections. I don't even have a Facebook account. One of the things we've learned this week is that there was a hack of Facebook back in 2019, and 500 million accounts were leaked. This is an example of poor security on Facebook's part. They fixed the hole, but those 500 million accounts are now for sale on the dark web. It's not, it's, just personal information. It's not credit card numbers or anything, but yeah, I have no help for you. Except that if you can, the one thing is try your phones, everything that you had at one time logged into Facebook, and hope that you can get in through that, and then it'll make it a little bit easier. Next time, set up trusted contacts, so your wife can be an additional person that they can use. I think you need 3 friends, at least one, but I think you need more than one. I hear this, though, all the time, so clearly it's a problem. And obviously you were targeted, and that's the other side of this equation. A targeted attack is always much harder to defeat because they know enough about you to know how to, hit you. Tom in Riverside's next. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
So, Leo, I'm listening to your Facebook thing there, and I'm wondering if there's 500 million, and is there anybody out there that really has any secrets anymore?
No. And the thing is, your Facebook account doesn't have much, your phone number would be the worst thing. And, how many years were we listed in the phone book? So it's not like your social security number's leaking out or something. Yeah, privacy. Yeah, it's an interesting question. If it's on, I would say my point of view is if it's on the internet, and that includes Facebook, assume it's public. Even if you've said it's private, assume it's public because you can't guarantee that companies like Facebook, who should know better, aren't going to accidentally leak it.
Yeah. Well, I was calling about a boring thing, I guess, because it's so Apple.
There's no boring topics, Tom. What do you want to know about Apple?
Yeah, just the latest thing is you were talking about that. I think you talked about a micro OLED last week.
Yeah. So there's mini LED and there's micro LED. The micro LEDs are not out yet. They're very expensive. That's going to be a new television technology that's going to revolutionize TV. They'll be as good as OLEDs or better.
But it won't be on the iPad.
You won't get those, well, not for a while because they're incredibly expensive. Mini LED is a different technology. It's basically the same as an LCD, which you currently have, but it's a better backlight. So you get better contrast ratios. You can have high dynamic range.
Okay.
So it is a better screen, noticeably better. They say. I haven't seen it yet.
That's what you mentioned last week, not the micro.
Mini versus micro. I know, it's confusing. And then there's OLED and QLED. Very confusing. Then the companies, I think they kind of do this on purpose. I don't know. I don't think they want to. They like the idea that consumers might think they're getting more than they are.
Confused, yeah.
Confused consumer is a good consumer.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
That's my job, is to unconfuse you as best I can. Although I have to admit, some of the people I think who listen get more confused, not less. I try.
Yeah, barefoot and confused. And I'm interested in that iPad, and I wanted to. Of course,
we'll know more. I'll tell you what. As soon as it comes out, which will be, I think, in the next couple of weeks, we'll know a lot more. We'll talk about it, and you'll even have the chance now that the Apple stores are open to look at it before you buy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry, I had to wrap her up, but I'm still talking to you. I'm still here.
Yeah, well, that's all I wanted.
Perfect.
I was in the market, and I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't know about the new one coming just around the corner. So
now it's a Pro. So the latest iPad Air, I think it's 3rd generation or 4th generation. That's pretty state of the art. That's not going to get updated. That's got a fast chip and everything. But the Pro is a year old.
Oh, yeah, the Pro.
I love I use a Pro, but they're very expensive. As expensive as a laptop by the time you get a keyboard on them.
Yeah, but between the iPad and the Air and the Pro, it's just a small jump.
It depends what you're looking for. I like a laptop, but if you love iOS or iPad OS as they call it now, if you love that, I would say an iPad. Yeah, the new Pros, man, they're fast. They're as fast, absolutely as fast, or will be as fast as the Mac laptops. Maybe a little faster.
Yeah, and it's more practical for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get the iPad.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then one other question: if you're taking video or pictures, what's the better thing? Not that they're the same thing, but if you was wanting to take, what would give you a better picture? The Pro or the 12 Pro iPhone or the Pro?
The iPhone camera is a little better than the iPad.
Okay, the phone's better. Okay.
Yep. The iPad camera it's always a step behind the phone for some reason. And they made it better and better. The newest iPad Pro now has the LiDAR, so it's got the depth perception, so it can do better portrait mode and stuff. But they put the best cameras they make are on the iPhone Pro Max.
Yeah. It's got just a little bit more than
just a touch better.
Just enough to push you over the edge.
I don't think you'd notice a difference. Yeah, I think they're thinking is the iPad, because it's so big, is not a great form factor for taking photos, but I love it for video and photo because you see this picture full size, so you can really see what you're getting. But it's a little ungainly. It's hard to handle and stuff.
For the iPad, you're saying?
Yeah, because it's so big. The iPhone is really the size of a point-and-shoot camera.
It's good for viewing, but not good for handling in the field. If you're taking
Exactly. And frankly, don't ever take pictures at a concert with it because I'll yell at you. Every time I'm at a concert, there's somebody in front of me holding up a big old iPad. It's like, I can't see. Stop it.
You're jumping up and down trying to see over.
Stop it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that would be aggravating. That's what I'll start off with, I guess, is that iPad, and I appreciate your help because, boy, if you weren't here, you'd be making a lot of mistakes. People would be making a lot of mistakes.
I do my best. I'm glad you like it.
Beautiful job. You did.
Thank you, Tom.
Good sense of humor. Good sense of just a good voice too. You got an excellent voice.
You're very kind.
You're like the Dick Clark of
I'm the Dick Clark of tech. I like that.
Of tech.
Of course, he's dead, but other than that part, I like it.
Yeah, he was so much a part of our.
I agree. I grew up with Dick Clark. You bet. Bandstand, and then the New Year's Eve, rocking New Year's Eve.
Saturday morning.
Yeah, you bet.
Bandstand. And anyway, next time that guy Sam comes on for. Maybe look at that. I had talked to you about a year ago about that safety in the automobiles. I'd like to see more of that too, because that's really, it destroys so many people's lives and takes so many people's lives.
The good news is the safety is so much higher now than it was that at least automotive deaths have fallen. Yeah.
They're moving on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but ironically, they went up during COVID, and nobody's sure why. But the thinking is because there was less traffic, people drove crazier. They drove faster, so they went up a little bit during COVID. But I think because of seat belts, airbags, crumple zones, there's a lot that's been done for car safety. If you drive some of these old beautiful cars, you drive an old T-Bird or a Corvette around. It's a death trap compared to a modern car.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, the structure of the automobiles and it could still be better, but I mean,
because you're still hurtling along in a 2-ton vehicle at 60 miles, 70 miles an hour. Nothing can protect you, but they're better than they used to be. Let's put it that way. A lot better.
It is. Yeah, that part is better, but it's the sensors. It's the,
Well, I'm hoping self-driving vehicles are going to change all that. I mean, we're still a ways off, but I'm hoping that.
Yeah, I don't really believe in that too much in my lifetime. Or you're.
No, I know it's slower than anybody thinks. I agree.
Yeah,
I will ask him about that. Automotive safety is a good topic.
Yeah, sense, decide, and act. Everything in this universe does that.
Sense, decide, and then act.
Sense, decide, and act. It's a system. Every system does that. Me and you, the animals, everything. And just think about it. And everything in the universe does that. Maybe rocks do it in some way that we don't know, but everything does that. And that's what is involved here. If you got to sense it, we've got excellent sensors now. A laser.
And they're a little faster than the human brain's a little slow sometimes.
Yeah, look at what you're comparing. A computer can act instantly. Just look at a PLC.
But the problem is humans cognitively are better at deciding. So sensing the computers. So what we've got to do is get those computers a little bit better in cognition so that they decide properly and act properly.
Yeah. I don't want it to decide for me. I just want it to augment.
Well, I agree, and I love that. I have to say, adaptive cruise control and lane keeping, all of those things, I think they're great. When I put down a list for what I want in a new car, those were at top of the list, I think, for safety.
Say you approach a crosswalk and somebody's walking across there. Have you ever almost hit somebody in a dark place?
Yeah, and I think auto stop is fantastic. I mean,
that's the number one thing right there. If they can perfect that, they can eliminate a god-awful lot of suffering for people.
I agree.
That get hit by a car.
I know. It's tragic.
Then it destroys them.
I know.
Destroys your life.
I know. When I was teaching my kids to drive, I said, remember, it's not just the person you hit, it's you. Your life will never be the same.
Yeah, so Robert Conrad was a good example, and it wasn't a hit and run. I mean, it was he had an accident and he paid for everything, but he became an alcoholic.
It changes. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's terrible. It changes your life.
Robert Conrad, a tremendous actor, a tremendous personality.
I was talking about him the other day because I interviewed him once, and he was a little pugnacious with me. He was like, I think it was in the era of knock this battery off my shoulder, and I think he felt like that was who he had to be. He had to be that guy. Hey, I have to run because we're almost out of time. Tom, thanks for calling.
Did he keep putting the battery on his shoulder?
He did. He said, knock it off. I said, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Conrad, sir. Yes, sir. All right, take care, Tom. Yes, sir. Why, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, automobiles, technology everywhere, all over our lives. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We were talking last hour with Sam about GPUs versus CPUs, and I had to take a little trip down memory lane. The first computers we got, whether they were the Commodore 64 or the MITS Altair or maybe an IBM PC or even a Macintosh in the 80s, could do graphics. It's not that they couldn't do graphics. And some of them even had dedicated graphics parts, things that were designed like frame buffers to handle the graphics. And of course, video games, arcade games, had specially designed, sometimes custom designed chips to do the graphics. But GPUs, a second processor specifically for on-screen graphics, didn't become popular in computers. Probably, I'm thinking around, I'm trying to remember when my first one was. I think it was in the 90s. S3, remember the S3? And then there was the 3DFX accelerators, and I remember even in the 90s, maybe it was the early 2000s, building a machine that had two 3DFX cards. So they've been around for a while. I think the PlayStation was the first with Sony actually coined the term GPU, the original PlayStation. had what Sony called a GPU. That was in the mid-'90s. So there were, and then, of course, the next step was to get the operating systems like Microsoft to start supporting GPUs, the games to start supporting GPUs. GeForce, the NVIDIA, the ones that the king of the hill right now, didn't come around until the 2000s. They've been around for almost 20 years. ATI started with its Radeons in 2002. So the whole idea, though, initially of these things was to give you better video game graphics. First on standalone video games, then on video game machines like the PlayStation, and then on PCs and Macs to give you better graphics for your games. But what people discovered is these GPUs are really good at other things. For instance, if you're a photographer and you're doing effects on a picture, the GPU can help out with that. They're very good at handling big chunks of data, processing big chunks of data simultaneously. Things, if you do a blur, for instance, in the background, in Photoshop, a Gaussian blur, it'll use the GPU to calculate that, and it speeds it up a lot. And then as we started doing more and more 3D modeling and video rendering, the GPU helped out a lot there. Now GPUs do everything. They're really important. Somebody asked, though, in the chat room, can you have a computer without a CPU, just a GPU? That's an interesting question. I don't think so. I think you still need a general purpose processor, the CPU, to kind of at least, if nothing else, to at least parcel out the jobs to the GPU to say, you do this, 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 and this. So at least kind of as a station master, you still need a CPU. And for most of the things you do on a computer, word processing, browsing the web, and so forth, the CPU, is more than capable of doing that. Although more and more we're seeing GPU-enabled browsers, GPU-enabled software. I think you still need the CPU to kind of say, okay, we're running up, text I can handle, but I see this graphic coming along. Here, you do that, GPU. Almost all computers, in fact, I would say now all computers come with at least a rudimentary GPU. If you don't have an NVIDIA card or a Radeon card, you probably have what we call sometimes discrete graphics or not discrete, motherboard graphics, built-in graphics. Intel's, for instance, have gotten better and better. So you get a processor, but you also get a system on a chip that includes a processor and a separate processor for handling graphics. Intel calls them Iris, Intel Iris graphics. So it's not as good as a standalone discrete GPU, but it's certainly good enough for most of the things we do. I think the question people ask is, should I buy a computer with a GPU or not? And unless you're playing video games or rendering graphics or doing a lot of photography or video or designing self-driving cars or artificial intelligence, probably you don't need one. The built-in motherboard graphics. And on my laptops, I generally don't have discrete GPUs. I'll have the built-in Intel graphics processing capabilities. And that's more than enough. 8888 asks, Leo, I thought I should explain that because we talked about it, but I didn't really explain it. Mike on the line from Corona, California, our next caller. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
About 9 months ago, I purchased a new cell phone, Samsung S10e. I'm pretty happy with it.
Good.
The problem I'm having is, and I noticed that when I enter new contacts, by the way, I use Microsoft Outlook 365 through work.
Okay.
I enter new contacts on Microsoft. They don't come up on my phone. My old ones do, the ones I had prior to the new phone, but my new ones do not.
When you say come up, what do you mean?
Meaning, I'm sorry, meaning the name of the person.
Oh, the contacts. Okay. Yeah, that's just
the name of the person.
Yeah, it's not the phone not doing its job. Which program are you using? Are you using Outlook on the Samsung?
It's synced with my work Outlook. That's correct.
Okay. And what program are you using to open the mail? Are you using Samsung Mail?
No, I just go to. I've got the Outlook icon on my phone.
Okay, so you're using Outlook on the phone. It gets that information from your contacts list.
Yes.
First thing to do is make sure all that stuff is in your contacts list, including the emails. Sometimes when you synchronize, Android devices typically will synchronize using Google Contacts because it's Android, but Samsung has its own contacts. If you're logged into a Samsung account, you want to make sure that it is synchronizing with Google Contacts so that you have your full set of contacts. But your Outlook at work may even have other contacts that aren't in your main address book, and it may be seeing those. So, that's the first place to look. There may also be a setting. There is a setting, in fact, in Outlook to use that contact list for autofilling addresses. So you go into, I think this is something Apple really has confused the world with. On Android, generally settings are within the application. I think in this case, the settings might be in the general phone settings under applications, under Outlook. There is a setting for syncing contacts. So make sure.
I've seen that.
Yeah, make sure that's turned on. Otherwise, you won't see a list. You won't see that auto-populate list. There is a. I'm going to give you a.
Come in.
Pardon me?
I say the old numbers come in.
Uh-huh.
It's not like none of them come in.
Okay, some do and some don't. So yeah, now that means it's working, but you don't have the full list in your contacts. So you want to make sure that your on-phone contacts are complete. Synchronize. My suggestion is synchronize with Google and have the Samsung account synchronize with Google as well. And if there's a separate Outlook contacts, make sure that that's syncing as well. You want the full set of contacts available to the Outlook. Yeah. So you know it's working because you're seeing them, but you don't see every one of them. That's because it's taking them from the contact list. What do you think? I'm wearing a zoot suit? Is that what you think? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, Ask Leo. Eric's on the line from Encinitas, California. Hi, Eric.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am fine. Hey, I've actually got a couple of questions, but I told your screener just about one.
That's fine. You can ad lib. You can ask as many as we have time for.
Perfect. Okay, so question number one: really big screen TVs. They seem to be topping out at just shy of 90 inches, and I've got a great wall that I can put maybe a 120-inch TV on. I don't want to spend $88,000 or whatever they cost. But have you heard? I didn't listen. I haven't heard Wilkinson talk about this recently, but nobody seems to be talking about really big TV screens, although I think a lot of people like them.
So there are two ways you're going to be able to do that. Of course, a projector is how most people do it right now, and there are a lot of very good projectors out there, and the prices vary considerably. You can, if you want the best possible screen, you're going to go with the same company that your local movie theater goes with, like Barco or somebody like that. That's your price is your choice. You can get an Epson Cinema display, back it up far enough to get 120 inches, no problem. There are short throw projectors. We have one at home. It only is 100 inches, but I imagine, and that's from a Chinese company called Hisense. I imagine there will also be larger sizes. Short throw's nice because you don't have to find a place for the projector across the room. As you know, with a projector, the farther back, the bigger the picture. Short throws sit.
Right, but are you suggesting that if you have a projection TV that the image is as good as if you had a high quality Sammy or somebody else?
But you go to the movie theater and watch a projector, right? I mean,
yeah.
If it's dark, if the room's dark and you buy a fancy projector, you're going to get a very nice screen. I agree. It's hard to, the reason is these LCD panels, when they make them, they don't want any defects, right? So the larger the panel, the less likely you're going to have a perfect panel. The more pixels you put on it, higher the chance some of them are going to be bad. And so the reject rate goes up, and that's why they get more and more expensive at that size. I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see bigger ones. Down the road, you're going to see this new micro LED technology, which will give you arbitrary screen size. Micro LEDs come in little kind of Lego bricks. You can attach them together and make a screen as big as you want. There are micro LED screens out there right now. You said you don't want to spend $80,000. How about $150,000?
There you go.
Okay, even better. But so I think it's Samsung makes these incredible micro LEDs, and they have started selling them. But just as the first plasmas and the first OLEDs, these were very, very expensive. I think Samsung's, they call it a video wall technology. I think is 120 inches. It's very big. We saw it at CES a year and a couple of months ago. Very nice. That is going to come down. So in 2 or 3 years, and this may be one of the reasons you're not seeing 90-inch LCDs, not only the prohibitive cost, but also these companies all are thinking, we're going to be selling micro LED in a few years anyway. But so in a few years, you'll see micro LED. So right now, your choice is projection. And if you want to wait,
modular idea. I thought some companies were working on that.
On which?
Meaning your screen is broken into multiple modular pieces.
That's the micro LED. That's it. That's micro LED.
As big a screen as you want.
That's micro LED. That's exactly it. That's the technology. Micro LED. They're little modular pieces, like puzzle pieces you put together.
So my expectation was that as ATSC 3.0 comes into
has play, nothing to do with it. Zero to do with it.
But that the technologies might be changing with the HDR and everything else, and maybe you're right. Why redesign an old product like a
TV companies couldn't care less about broadcast. They don't care. They know the future is people, and people who want good quality, they're watching either streaming or some sort of physical media, but broadcast. They don't even put tuners in their TVs anymore.
Right.
Good luck finding a TV with a tuner in it. So that's not the thing to worry about. What's pushing this, of course, is people, want better TVs. So bigger is coming. Projector-wise, you can get a Epson short throw. It's 120 inches. Usually with a short throw, you'll have to buy the screen with the projector because the way these short throws work, they're 7 or 8 inches from the wall. They're sitting right in front of the wall, and they bounce the light up at a steep angle, and then they have to have a special screen with a Fresnel lens that reorients the picture so the light so it's bouncing straight out. So it's angled at so you can see it. So really the choice is direct view versus projection. And you're absolutely right. Projection isn't going to be as bright or as crisp. The dynamic range is not going to be good as a direct view TV. If you want that size, right now projection's your only reasonable choice. And it can be unreasonable. Like I said, you go out and get a very fancy Runco TV, projector, the kind that the movie theaters use, and you're going to be spending a lot of money. If you want to know more about this, go to projectorcentral.com. And they have reviews and they have information and they have, they give you a price range. They talk about ultra short throw as well as across the room. So there's lots of good choices. I agree with you. They're not going to be as bright. The movie theater is dark. You never. That's kind of
right.
Part of the
good point.
Yeah, they darken it, and they also have $50,000 projectors. The good ones. Yeah.
Okay. So my question number 2, you use a Pyle microphone.
I am using it right now. That's right. Yeah.
And I have been looking for something that I can use for all of these sessions that I do online with various, mostly computer companies. And I'm just trying to figure out how much better it really sounds to get a really good quality mic like your Pyle.
Oh, don't get me started on mics.
Okay.
So if you're going to use a pro mic, this is a pro mic. You can't just hook it up to a computer. You need an interface.
Right.
That's going to take the XLR output of the mic and digitize it and send it to the computer over a USB. So the Pyle mics aren't expensive, around $300. You're going to then go out and get something like we sent out to our kit to our hosts is the Focusrite Scarlett, which is a USB interface for a Pyle mic. And then you're going to get better sound than any headset mic. Absolutely. There are a lot of companies, though, that make very good microphones that are USB. Not quite as professional, but BLU makes some USB mics. The Yeti is very, very popular, YETI. Roughly the same price. Those will definitely improve your audio. You're talking about things like Zoom calls?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, when I'm at home doing a Zoom call, I use a camcorder or an SLR for the camera. Those are much better than the computer cameras. I use my Pyle, and I have a very expensive sound devices USB Mix Pre that is a very fancy, pro level USB device, and I sound great. But that's my job, man. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Photography coming up with Chris Marquardt. So, yeah, I mean, you could sound better. I would say probably any standalone mic is going to sound much better than. What are you wearing, a headset now?
I'm not.
You're just talking in the microphone on the laptop. Oh, infinite improvement. Infinite improvement if you go out and just get a.
Sounds so crappy.
Yeah, infinite improvement if you just go out and get a Jabra headset. It's got a headphones plus a boom mic. That will sound 100 times better because it doesn't get all that. One of the things you notice in all these Skype calls, I think or Zoom calls, and one of the reasons I think there's a Zoom fatigue is there's a lot of room noise. It's echoey kind of. And that's the laptop mic. It's an omnidirectional mic. It's picking up everything. So just getting a headset mic, there are lots of them out there because gamers use them. But then you're wearing this thing. So some people don't like the look of that. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, my thought is that you get a lot, you get flat frequency response, you get I don't know what other kinds of errors would be in microphones, and I don't know why they can't put
it's so complicated.
Really high quality pickup like
it's so complicated.
Whatever you have in your Pyle, and it's not in a.
Well, first of all, the size of that, it's not going to fit any. It's big. The coil in this is an inch across, and it's
wow.
So that's problem number one. That's why these are. But then these are dynamic. There's condenser mics which have much smaller pickups. That's what's in your computer. That's what's in those headsets. The problem with them, the one in your computer is omnidirectional because they don't know where your head's going to be. So they're picking up everything. Condenser mics in general are oversensitive. So, and that's why I don't use one in radio because they're too good. That's why you'll see people using these $1,500 Neumann mics, they're condensers, in a recording studio, but you'll also notice they're in a soundproof booth because it picks up a pin drop. But if you're recording Mariah Carey, you want to hear every nuance. That's what you're going to use. You're not actually hearing all the nuances in my voice. I don't want you to. This mic is good for radio, right? It has off. When I get off axis, you don't hear it as well. There's all sorts of good reasons to use. So that's why I say when you get started on mics, there's no perfect mic. It really is dependent on the use. But
you ever heard of a place where I can go and sit in front of a few and hear what they sound like?
Golly, that's a good question. I've seen things like that at trade shows. The Podcast Expo they'll do that. They'll have 8 mics in front of, on a table, and you can try them all. I've seen that actually. Chris, I think you saw that too at the Podcast Expo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They had everything there.
Chris, are you using a Pyle? What do you use?
No, that's a MV7. Shure MV7. It's rather new. It has an XLR output and a USB output.
Oh, that's nice. So Shure makes excellent mics, and those mics are commonly used. The SM55, which it's the little brother of, or the SM7, were commonly used in radio stations all the time. So that's nice. I didn't see. What is it? The SM77?
MV7.
MV. Oh, Shure's making this new MV line is really good.
It's kind of it reminds a bit of the SM7B, just slightly
very similar,
but
look.
it's more affordable and it has better output. So,
but you see, I don't know if you see this, but Eric, because he has also an arm, as I do, so you're going to need to get an arm or a stand. Let's put that on. But yeah, you'll sound like a radio announcer.
That's the goal.
This is Eric calling from Encinitas.
This one even has a built-in limiter and compressor. So.
It sounds good. It's got a good sound.
Decent.
Yeah. I need to try out something like that. Eric, I got to run. Thank you. More of the Tech Guy is still to come, but before we go much farther, I want to mention our sponsor, Stamps.com. We've been using Stamps.com for almost a decade now here at the office. There's just nothing not to like about Stamps.com. Stamps.com gives you the ability to do everything you would do at the post office from your desk, including printing real U.S. postage, no postage meter necessary, from your own computer, using your own ink, your own paper if you want, or you can print right on the envelope. Stamps.com automatically prints everything, so it saves you so much time. Prints the return address, prints your logo if you want, takes the address of the recipient from your address book, or if you're an eBay or Etsy or Amazon seller or use a variety of different software, it can just take the address straight from there, fill it out, fewer mistakes, and it's a lot easier for you. And by the way, you can print postage for anything. Packages, media mail, letters. You can even print out stamps, which I will also do. We print them right out. They're sticky. I don't have to lick them. You put them on the envelope. It's just great. I love the post office. I'm kind of a fan of the U.S. Postal Service. I really am. I really want to support them. But at this point in time, I'm not anxious to make a trip there. That's why we use Stamps.com, and we've used it forever. Send letters, ship packages. Oh, and I should mention one other thing. Stamps.com has added not just USPS, the United States Postal Service, they now do UPS too. So it's a one-stop shop for all your shipping. With Stamps.com, you get all the services of the post office and UPS in one place. Big discounts, too, on mailing and shipping rates you can't get anywhere else. If you haven't tried them yet, we've been using them for years. If you haven't tried them yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. I've been telling you about them for years. It is awesome. Whether you're a small office sending out invoices, an online seller shipping out orders, even a giant warehouse sending thousands of packages a day, they all use Stamps.com. And man, the discounts are incredible. Up to 40% off post office rates, up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. They've somehow managed to get UPS to waive the residential surcharge on all your packages. That saves you a ton of money. Not to mention, Stamps.com is a fraction of the cost of those expensive postage meters. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Saves you time, saves you money, works with UPS and the USPS. It's no wonder more than 1 million small businesses use Stamps.com. We do. You're going to want it too. Stop wasting time going to the post office. Go to Stamps.com instead. Right now, no risk. We've got a promo code. If you go to Stamps.com, click that microphone, enter TWiT as the offer code. You'll get a special offer. It includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage, a digital scale, no long-term commitments, no contracts. It's just an easy way to try Stamps.com. But I have to warn you, once you've used it for a month, you're never going to go back. That's what happened to us. Stamps.com. Click the microphone at the top of the homepage. Type in TWiT. Please do use that promo code. You're going to want to because you're going to get a better deal, but also it helps us. Stamps.com, offer code TWiT. Never go to the post office again with Stamps.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for my photo sensei, the teacher. Mr. Chris Marquardt at sensei.photo joins us every week to talk about photography. And this week, hello, Chris.
Hello, how are you?
It's Chris Cross, our photo assignments, right?
It totally is. It totally is. The assignment was X, as in the cross shape of an X. And this was a fun one. This was a good one. We got
a lot of X's in our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group.
Actions and pictures. Yeah. So I have chosen 3 of them, and we want to look at those.
All right.
The first one I chose is by Tommy G. The title is The X Factor Light. And it's a fairly simple photo, but it demonstrates, it illustrates something that cameras sometimes do. What Tommy did is he shot that at night. It's of street lights. And the camera itself, the lens in the camera makes an X shape out of those lights. And that is because of the aperture in the lens in the camera, and the peaks that you see coming out from those lights are pretty much reflections on those aperture blades in the
different
lens.
Cameras will have different blades, will have different looks, right?
Yes, and they have some have like 6 peaks, and some have an odd number of peaks, and some have an even number of peaks.
What they call lens flare. Is that lens flare?
No, it's more like photographers call it starburst. And some photographers will go lengths to get the proper right lens to get a very special kind of starburst. Some are very proud of that, and they only use that specific lens. Way too much effort.
This was taken with
camera does it.
a Nikon Coolpix point and shoot, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that is a very nice illustration of not even having to shoot a picture of an X shape, just pointing a camera at a light and
let the camera do it
automatically.
Yeah.
Yes. Next one by R. Fraser. And, well, we're not talking about the title because that's just the file name, but it is, I like this because it shows us, well, it's that there's two street signs and they are of two intersecting streets. And these inherently aren't like shaped like an X. They are, they're only that way because of the perspective we're looking at.
They're right angles to one another. One's going one way.
They're right angles,
yeah,
but we're looking from a different perspective, and that makes them shaped like an X, and that is kind of that's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah, Liberty and Washington streets. This could be in my hometown, actually. Interesting. I guess probably every city in America has a Liberty and a Washington. That's cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, that stood out to me by Abdul Mukit. It is the Crossroad Bridge, and it's so it's a black and white photo, very hard contrast. It's bright, direct sunlight, so you have very harsh shadows, and then the bridge, just in its construction, has these X shapes in the railings, and not just that, but they repeat and they repeat and they repeat on both sides, and they cast a shadow in these X shapes onto the bridge itself. And it's kind of a busy photo, but I like the geometry in it. I really
know what I like? It's kind of contrary to what you'd think, but because the bridge is made out of rough-hewn logs with their bark still on, the X's themselves are kind of rough-hewn. They're just shadows, but they're also rough-hewn. And so the whole thing is kind of wiggly-woggly, and I kind of like that. I also love the choice that he made. And this is probably something he did in a photo editor to really make it stark contrast, right? Hard contrast. That's a setting, right? Not in the camera.
It's a setting, but it's also the way the sun is out. If you have an overcast sky, if you have a clouds in the sky, they make the light source bigger, and then you won't get these harsh shadows. But these shadows are a sign that there is direct light, and that can only be the sun out there. So
I do think he amped it up a little bit, though, right?
Oh, certainly there is a bit of a. Well, it could be a filter. Let's check what camera he used.
Yeah.
Doesn't say. Oh, yes, it does. A Xiaomi Poco Phone F1. It's a phone.
It's a phone.
It's probably some filter in the phone that does that. That cranks the contrast.
Yeah, it might be. You see that. In fact, Instagram has a filter like that. You see those high contrast filters in a lot of programs.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a nice effect.
And it's a very good fit for the type of photo. Absolutely.
I don't mind filters if it's kind of a conscious choice to match the content, right?
You know what? When in the early days of phones with filters and apps, when Hipstamatic came out, I was very I was annoyed by these filters. I wasn't a fan of those at all. But by now I've mellowed. I've really come around to, hey, if it's fun, if it makes you shoot more because you like what you do, then all the better. It's awesome. Use the filters as much as you want. Use HDR. Do whatever you want, because it's better if someone does that. And this way may come around to proper photography, to a bigger camera.
Well, what is proper anyway? It's whatever makes you happy.
That was probably the wrong term for it.
You don't want to be a
bigger cameras.
Yeah, you don't want to be a gatekeeper. Come on.
No, definitely not.
And actually,
definitely not.
Don't tell anybody, but professionals often use what's called presets in Lightroom or other professional photography tools. They're just filters.
And professionals will also be happy to use a smartphone as a camera, because it's not the camera that takes the photo. It's you.
That's
and you choose what you point it at and when you press the button. So, yeah.
Well, and as a perfect example, that last bridge picture, that was all the photographer. That was the guy choosing that particular angle, that particular time of day. I give him full credit for that, even if he.
And I picked it as the last photo because it was kind of one of my favorites from that whole set.
Really interesting. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So Chris Marquardt is your photo sensei too, thanks to this show. He joins us every week, and these assignments are really all about just getting you out there and taking pictures. So we need a new assignment, Chris.
Yes, we do. And we have a suggestion by JNS Pet on Flickr, and the suggestion is you.
Y-O-U?
Y-O-U.
So we did X. We're now at Y. We only have one more letter in the alphabet, by the way. So Y.
And we need suggestions for that on the Flickr group as well.
So here's how this works. Take pictures, lots of them. The whole idea is carry your camera, and I got to remember to do this too. Carry your camera everywhere you go. Anytime you see it, and then by the way, I noticed, Chris, it's also the mindset of looking with your eyes wide open for images, because they're everywhere, but you kind of have to be in that mindset, not head down. I'm on my way to work. I'm not paying attention to anything. You're looking.
Yes.
You're looking to see what things look like. When you see something that fits you, Y-O-U, maybe it is you, I don't know. Take a picture. You can submit as many as one a week to our Flickr group. Now, Flickr is a photo sharing site, free to join, flickr.com. Once you're in there, if you're not already, once you join there, join the Tech Guy group. Big group, 13,000 some people. It's free. All of this is free. Join the Tech Guy group. Our moderator, the wonderful Renee Silverman, does all this pro bono. Thank you, Renee. We'll welcome you in. And then as you're taking these pictures, if you get one that goes, yeah, that's you, or me, that's me, that's you, then tag it TGYOU. That's one of the things Flickr invented, is these tagging mechanisms. So you tag it with TG for Tech Guy, YOU, and submit it to the Tech Guy group. One picture a week. Renee will thank you. In 4 weeks, Chris will pick 3 new pictures to take a look at. Thank you, Chris Marquardt. You'll find him at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. If you want a little coaching, little education. He also has a great podcast, Tips from the Top Floor, at TFTTF.com. We'll see you next week, Chris.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris in his MV7.
The MV7.
I just assumed it was is whatever the old Shure microphone, not the new one. That's because it looks just like the old one. That's cool.
I tested it because I was helping a lawyer to start their own podcast, so I had to recommend a microphone, and that's when I tried this out. I said, "Yep, that's the right one."
$250, but you don't need a USB interface.
No,
Plugs
you don't.
right in.
And it has a limiter built in. It has a compressor built in. I have a bit of that dialed in because it sounds decent.
Probably a good choice for our caller who wanted a new mic for his Zoom calls.
And of course, it comes with a piece of software on the computer, so you can control the details of it. But you don't need that once you set it up. You can use you can just plug it in. You have EQ presets built in. So there's a bass, a bottom roll off, or a bit of a 6 kilohertz enhanced.
Cool.
That kind of stuff is built.
Looks
in,
just like the 7B. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it dynamic?
It's not quite as smooth.
No.
It's not just dynamic. Yeah. It's not quite as smooth sounding as the SM7B, but it's close enough.
It's funny when I've worked at a number of stations with SM7Bs, and then I worked at a station that had Neumann. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And it was actually hard on my voice because, you're listening in the headphones and you're hearing everything. Yeah. So you actually work harder to sound, to get a rich sound out of it. And it ended up being hard on my voice. I'd come home with sore throats.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have turned the headphones down. That's what I should have done.
And in a room that's like my room here, that's not treated in any meaningful way.
Sounds good. I don't hear
dynamic microphone does the job.
It's great. Yep. No room tone or anything. All right, Chris. Have a great week.
Okie dokie. See you in a week from now.
All right. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's what I said. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. And on the line, Micah from Maine. Hello, Micah.
Leo, how you doing?
I am well. How are you doing?
I'm just happy to be speaking with you. What could be better, right?
Well, I speak with me all day long, and I honestly am tired of the voices in my head. But for you, maybe this is good. I don't know.
Well, you don't listen to what you're saying.
No, I don't. I try not to.
Well, you had that conversation about the microphone, and you said something off air, and you didn't say it off air until after I called. That is very important to say on air.
Oh, good.
And that's the difference between a dynamic microphone and a condenser microphone that I think listeners need to know about. That if you're doing recording and you're not in an absolutely quiet studio, you need to make sure you get a dynamic microphone.
Yeah, and we should mention that you are a podcaster, Micah, so you deal with this all the time. It's interesting because for a long time, this was really a arcane subject, the meat of the conversation for people like me, radio announcers and people working in studios and singers and so forth. But now, there's 2 million podcasts out there now. So there's a lot of people. And everybody's going to work on Zoom, so there's a lot of people interested in microphones. And I agree with you. Dynamic microphones are the ones you don't have to give any power to, no phantom power to dynamic microphones. They're also a little bit more robust. They're much less delicate, and they tend not to pick up all the sounds in the room. They're less accurate, to be honest. And sometimes people say, "Well, I want an accurate mic." No, you don't. You want a mic that picks up exactly the right stuff and no more, no less. But you don't want an accurate mic, condenser mic, $1,500 Neumann mic is going to pick up lip smacking and all sorts of sounds, and you probably don't want that, honestly.
No, you want a mic that when you're speaking directly into it, it hears you, and when you pull back a little bit, it may not, and that's very important.
There's another wonderful thing about dynamic mics, and nightclub comedians have discovered this, is that, and because most of the time when you're in a nightclub, you're using a dynamic mic that Shure makes. It's very famous. The
SM58.
SM58. David Letterman used it for his warm-up mic. I went to see the Letterman show, and he didn't use it on set, but he'd use it for his warm-up mic, and he would swing it around, hammer it on the ground. That thing was all dented up, but you can't break them. But one of the things nightclub comedians have discovered is that if you're using a dynamic mic and you get real close, there's a big boost on the bass.
Right.
And so there are a lot of comics who will take advantage of this. So that's one more feature. If you hear a podcaster doing that, you know he's discovered.
And Roger Daltrey from The Who is the one that used to use an SM58 too. And look at all the...
He would swing it around, right? That's probably where Letterman got it. He'd swing it around. Yeah, that's a really good point. I forgot about that. He did.
Now, one more thing I'm going to mention to you, if you don't mind, is I want to give you a mic that I know that we've talked about before, but podcasters, whatever, should really consider. Now, I love your Heil, and I wish I could afford your Heil, but I use an Audio-Technica ATR 2100X that's less than $100. I've got 3 of them for the price of the Heil. I keep one in my car, I keep one in my go bag, and I have one set up on my computer. It has a USB output and an XLR output, and I can plug it into my iPhone with an adapter so I can do an interview anywhere I happen to be.
They're very good. Especially for the price. They're really quite good.
You don't need a Focusrite. You don't need, one of the Scarlett Focusrites 2i2s, no interface. And for $100, I would highly recommend, if you get a chance, Leo, order yourself one.
Oh, I have the predecessor, the 2020. I when they first came out with those, I immediately got one and reviewed it. It's not a pro grade mic, but it's a great mic for people who just need a mic for podcasting, or it'd be certainly more than enough for a Zoom call for Eric. I think they're very good.
The 2100 is improved from the 2020, and I think it's pretty close to the equivalent of an SM58.
All right.
Quite frankly.
Good.
And
it looks like an SM58 too. They're clearly an homage to the mic that launched 1,000 garage bands. So.
Right, and with a USB interface in it and a headphone output built right into it, it makes it very, very handy.
Micah, as always, a pleasure. Tell me about your podcasts.
Well, there are 2 podcasts that I'm involved with. They're not mine, but I'm very much involved with them. One is the Airplane Geeks podcast, which is kind of on hiatus for a couple of weeks.
Oh, no.
New episode. No, just for a couple of weeks while the producer, Max Flight, attends Sun and Fun down in beautiful Florida. So we've got a couple of shows in the can, but they're not regular shows. And then the other show, done by Captain Jeff, who flies for a major airline, and 3 other people is the airline pilot guy that I'm very involved in, APG.
Love them both.
That goes on. It's a great show, and that'll be running every week, and that runs about 3 hours. Airplane Geeks is about an hour and a half.
Micah, always a pleasure. Thanks for calling. Thanks for sharing your mic expertise with us. Again, the mic he recommended, and I actually agree 100%, is from Audio-Technica, big name in microphones and audio in general. It's the ATR 2100X. We'll put a link in the show notes. ATR 2100X. Actually, I probably should recommend it more often because at that price, you're probably not going to do better. Jamie's on the line from Corona, California. Hi, Jamie.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you. What's up?
Yeah. I have a Samsung S9 Plus.
Yes.
And several months ago, when I get messages just in the messaging app, if somebody sends me a picture, sometimes it takes days for it to download. And I keep having to press, the little download button.
Are they really big pictures? Is that it?
No. Something as simple as those like little Bitmojis or anything like that. And it didn't always
it's just
do it.
sluggish, huh?
Yeah, like days.
And days is too long?
Yes.
Well, frankly, minutes is too long, but days is just right out. So is it, that's an interesting problem. Is it, I don't think it's a Samsung problem. I think it's your carrier. So one of the things people, we've gotten so, it's interesting how we get so accustomed to technology. We don't think about what's going on in the background. It just kind of happens. And when it doesn't work, it's like, well, what's going on? That microwave took a minute. Now it's taking 5. What's going on? So one of the things that happens with text messages, text is pretty straightforward. It's small. Every carrier has their own system which interoperates. There's an interface between T-Mobiles and Verizon's, between Verizon's and AT&T's, between AT&T's and US Cellular, and on and on and on. So they have gateways that talk to one another. When you want to send a picture, depending on what you're using, that picture has to be encoded and sent, usually not using SMS, but using something called MMS. It's a different system, different gateway, and it travels over a different channel. It may well be that the gateway between the two carriers isn't as good or isn't operable or is down. So that could be part of the issue. Are you sending it using Samsung's messages?
No, I think this is, it's...
What program are you using?
How would I know?
Well, that's going to be part of it. If it's WhatsApp, then if you don't know, it's probably Samsung Messages. That's the default text messaging app.
Yes.
Google now has its own messages, which you might try. You might find it's a little bit better. It'll use data instead of trying to use MMS. Who's your carrier?
And come to think of it, it's Sprint, but then they were purchased by...
Yeah, that may be a Sprint T-Mobile thing. Yeah. Find out who the carrier is that's of the person sending it to you. If it's the same carrier, it should be pretty quick. But it's one reason people might want to use other messaging apps like WhatsApp. It's using data only and faster. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So that's part of the problem is... if you're using the carrier's system, you're dependent on the carrier. That's why so many people, especially worldwide now, instead of using the messages program that comes on the phone, the base SMS messenger, they're using WhatsApp or Telegram or Facebook Messenger because those don't use SMS or MMS. Those just use plain old data, and those should come through very promptly.
Now, if I'm using WhatsApp, the person on the other side has to use the same thing, right?
That's the downside.
Yeah. So if I use the Google messages?
You can. The nice thing about Samsung and the way Android works is you can say, I don't want to, you can download Google's messages, and you can say, I don't want to use Samsung messages. You can say in the default apps, it's in the setting, under the apps setting, it's a kind of an expanded app setting. You'll see advanced settings, and you'll see default apps. And you can say, for messaging, I want to use, and it'll show you most of the messaging apps you have on there. It'll even show you, in most cases, WhatsApp. But I would try Google Messages first.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to do that because this is getting frustrating.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Now, and one of the reasons you want to is T-Mobile which you're soon going to be a part of if you're not already.
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah, I think you are too. T-Mobile has now said we're going to use Google Messages as our default app. You on a Samsung phone, Samsung says no, it's Samsung's. But if you take it off any new phone you got from T-Mobile, Google Android's Messages would be the default. And if you you can make Messages your default, and I think it'll fix the whole problem.
Oh, wow. I'm going to try it. Thank you. I listen to you all the time.
I'm so glad you listen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, love it.
All right, Jamie, take
you.
care. Bye-bye. You too.
Bye.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here. It's Tech Guy time. I'm sorry. Yes, it's that geek on the radio. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me. You could still call. You just have to use Skype or something like that. Shouldn't cost you a thing. 8888 Ask Leo. We're talking high tech. We'll see if space guy Rob Pyle has recovered from his COVID vaccine. He was a little under the weather last week. I'm sure he has. If he has, he'll be joining us in about 20 minutes to talk about space. Meanwhile, John Michael's on the line from San Diego, California. Hi, John Michael.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
This is the first time I've ever called any radio station in my life.
I am honored.
No, I'm honored to hear your voice, and I'm addicted to your show. I have to listen every Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's nice.
So I'm also amazed that you have an answer to 99% of every question that's asked.
I am a good improviser, let's say.
So I have three unrelated questions.
Okay.
One is, and I'm going to list them off before I forget what they are because I didn't write them down.
Good. I'll be writing. You be talking. Go ahead.
Okay. One is, can you control a PC, a desktop computer, with a remote control like you would remote control a television?
Okay.
The second one is, I see people on Facebook make these, usually college people, with a videographer that's very far away from the person they're talking to, interviewing.
Yeah.
But the audio is crystal clear. It's perfect.
Yeah. How do they do that? Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. And there's a second part of that question.
Yeah.
Once I know how to do that, can I do it on a selfie? Like I live near the ocean, and I'd want to put my video very far away from where I'm actually going to be.
Perfect.
Describing what I'm doing. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
And the other one is, this is, and I'm not sure, I know I've seen this once in my life. So I am a crazy person about personalized license plates. I have to take a picture of those license plates. Some of them you can't really figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, it's my singular kind of hobby as I'm driving is to try to decipher personalized plates. And often I fail, but it's fun, isn't it?
Oh, I just got one like 5 minutes ago. It said LV.
LV.
ALIVE.
Leave alive, love alive, love and live. I don't know. What is it?
You got one of them. I saw the guy in the store and I said, "Hey, I love your plate. Well, is it live alive or leave alive?" And he goes, "It's love alive."
Love alive. Okay.
Anyway.
I think people who do that do it more so they can remember their license plate number. I'm thinking than so that other people understand them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
you only get a few letters.
Culture about that.
Yeah.
But I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of license plates.
Okay.
And some of them are pretty easy. You can figure them out. But some of them
You should make a website. That would be fun.
Well, that's what I want to do. But the thing about it is I think I've seen this before to where I could post the plate and not answer the question of what it says. But underneath that plate, I can have a blank plate or a blacked out plate that will flip open, and it'll tell what it actually meant.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like fun. All right, that's 4 questions that are going to take you. Some of them will cost you money. Some of them will take you years of study and labor. I'll start with number 1.
Okay.
You can't really control a PC with a remote unless the PC comes with a remote, which some do. They used to all the time. I just got a new monitor, crazy size monitor, has a remote control. But you mean turn the PC on and off with a remote?
Yes, and go through the web pages, do everything with it.
And surf the web and everything. Well, they certainly make, maybe this would be an easier thing to do, they certainly make wireless Bluetooth keyboards. Is it that your screen is across the room or you're sitting and looking at a TV with a browser in it?
No, the screen, the computer's across the room, maybe just 10 feet away.
Just far enough that you don't want to, you'd have to get up.
Exactly the reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could... Honestly, I think the best thing to do would be get a wireless keyboard mouse combo. And they make a lot of these for that so-called lean back experience where you're sitting in a couch, TV's on the, credenza, but it's got the computer on it, and you could just have the keyboard in your lap. And it'll let you do all the things you would do because it's got a little trackpad on it too. So a number of companies sell that kind of wireless keyboard for a TV. In fact, I remember Google's own... in the first Google TV actually came with a keyboard. So this is something that was very popular. Logitech makes a keyboard, kind of for this. They make a number of them. They call them living room keyboards or TV keyboards, and they have a trackpad built into it. That's probably the best way because no remote control is going to be able to do all the things you want to do, like enter in a web address or write an email, things like that. But a keyboard will do that. Yeah.
I didn't even think about what you just said, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So look for Logitech living room keyboard, and you'll see. And they're not expensive.
Okay.
The K600 TV keyboard is something the chat room is giving me a link to. We'll put that link in the show notes on Amazon or the K830. I guess this K series, there's quite a few. Logitech makes a lot of them. There is an article, though, Mike B has found from How to Geek, how to control your home theater PC with a Logitech Harmony remote. But this is for turning it on and off, changing the channel. This is not things for reading emails, that kind of stuff. So they do make remotes for TVs, for computers, but they're basically TV remotes. They're no fancier than that. Keyboard would be a better choice. That's one down. Okay. Now, the remote microphone, and actually questions 2 and 3 related. You want to do a selfie. You're out at the ocean. The camera's back on the shore. You need 2 things. You need a tripod for the camera, obviously, something to hold it. And then there's 2 ways you could do this. You could just record your voice. Put a voice recorder in your pocket, record it. Now the microphone is in your pocket. It's local. When you go back, you stop the camera, you've shot video, you replace the audio in that video with the audio from your recorder. Job's done. You can sync it up with your lips. Any video editing program, even a lot of them on the phone itself will do that. There is a company, though. In fact, I have this thing. I wonder if I have it with me. I don't think I do. That makes a wireless mic specifically for this purpose. You can have a lavalier mic, the lapel mics that you see on TV, a variety of different things, and you carry a remote transmitter recorder with you in your pocket that the mic's connected to. And it does 2 things. You're using their app on your phone to do the video, and their app knows that the sound is not coming from the phone's microphone, but from this microphone you have in your pocket. It connects via Bluetooth, so that problem with that is it's too slow to do it in real time. But what this microphone will do is it'll send it a bit by bit, and then it'll also record it locally. But it eliminates that step of having to synchronize the 2. Now, the unfortunate thing is this product is called a mic, M-I-C, and I'm having trouble finding it on Google, because guess what? When you search for MIC, you get a lot of things. But we'll put a link in the show notes, techguylabs.com. There are a number of companies that make these remote mics. I like this mic one because it's pretty clever. These guys used to work for Audio AKG, which is a very good microphone company, and so they know what they're doing. It's a pretty powerful little device. Finally, the last question is the longest answer and the least time I have left. But essentially, how do you feel about learning web design technologies? You could totally do what you want to do. Easy. All you need to know is CSS, cascading style sheets, JavaScript, and HTML. How's your JavaScript these days?
Not. It's not.
But if you really, I mean, honestly, if you wanted a website, it's easy to get a website. It wouldn't be, it's just a little bit to do that reveal license plate thing. It's just a little bit of CSS to do that. You click the mouse and the license plate flips around and boom, there is the actual interpretation. I would say, you know, you could get somebody to write that for you. It'd be simple enough. Go to WordPress.com or Squarespace.com, create the website. Both of those companies have consultants who help you with web design. And if you said, look, I need a little bit of CSS for my website, they would do it, which shouldn't cost too much. Otherwise, codeacademy.com, great place to learn all this stuff.
Wow.
Why not? Be a second skill.
You know what? I would like to know that. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah. It's not a complicated thing to do if you know how web pages are built. If you don't, it's impossible. But you can get, there are lots of people out there. You can get, elance.com or fiverr.com with 2 R's. There are lots of designers out there who could easily do a little CSS for you. Just describe it. You actually put on Elance, you put it up for bid. You say, look, I need this done. Who's good? How much would it cost? And freelancers bid on it and say, well, I can do that for $50. Shouldn't cost much more than $50, I think.
All right.
All right. 3 answers, and the one I didn't really give you the full answer to because I have to do some research and find this mic thing. I have it. I wish I had it with me. It's actually a very cool solution, and it gives you very high quality audio. But honestly, if you just had a little recorder in your pocket, like the people used to record lectures or whatever, a Zoom recorder, you had it in your pocket and wore it, just record locally, and then you just, in your editor, it's easy to match, to take out the bad soundtrack of you, I'm over here, at a distance, replace that with the one where you're right on mic. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Appreciate the call. See, first time you called a radio show, 4 questions, answered, boom, 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 just like that. Come back now that you know the way. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Okay, let me find this crazy thing. It was, we had them on the new screensavers, and I remember when they were on, I said, that's a terrible name. Nobody's going to ever find you. Anthony has one, and I have one. I don't know where mine is, unfortunately. I was going to give it to my son for just that, for his TikTok videos. It was actually on Kickstarter. Oh, maybe I could search Kickstarter. That's a good idea. It's on Kickstarter, and I bought it more than a year ago for CES 2020. And finally came. Yeah, I can't. There it is. Mike Me. That's it. MIKME. Oh, finally found it. Actually, if I'd remembered, it was Mike Me. Oh, no, this one. It's a Mike Me Pocket. Smarter way to record audio for your videos. A fail-safe wireless audio recorder and clip-on microphone. €249. It's kind of pricey, but it's very good quality. All right. Everybody, hands up. Oh, yeah. Sing it, baby. Woo! Ha, 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 ha. I found the microphone that I was talking about, and it's expensive. There are other choices, but this thing works really well. I have one somewhere. It's called Mike Me, M-I-K-M-E. If I'd remembered it was a K, maybe I could have found it faster. MIKME.com. And if you were at, let's say you're on the beach at Malibu, and you can put your phone up on the deck, right, overlooking the beach. Start recording video. Run down to the beach. Go, hi, I'm down here on the beach. What a beautiful day in Malibu. And it would sound like you were right on the microphone, because you are. The microphone's on you. And this little battery pack that the microphone's connected to is both recording you locally and sending that recording to the phone. You run back upstairs, you stop the video on the phone, and then you'll notice that it's saying, okay, still getting the audio, because it takes a little longer because Bluetooth isn't very fast. But eventually, a minute or two later, all the audio has been downloaded and is now matched up perfectly with the video. The only negative is you have to use their video app to record, but it uses all the benefits of the phone, all the benefits of the phone camera. It's a really interesting product. MIKME.com. There are others, I think, that make something very similar. It's just a wireless mic, but that's their little special secret thing. We actually have links in the chat room to about 100 different similar products. So, oh well. Space guy Rod Pyle is feeling better and will be joining us in about 10 minutes. But meanwhile, let's continue on with the calls. Afi is on the line from San Fernando Valley. Hi, Afi. Hello. I've pushed all my magic buttons. Afi?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Afi. How are you?
Magic button was off.
It's easy to leave the mute on, I know. What can I do for you?
And then it's harder to try to turn on the phone so you can turn off the mute. You have to keep looking for it. Leo, I ran into a problem, and that is that I had an Samsung S7 Edge.
Oh, man, that was the best Samsung S phone. That was the best. I loved the S7.
That's what I hear, but it has never happened to me like this, but it just completely went blank on me yesterday.
Well, it is kind of an old phone. It's about, well, let's see, they're now at the S21. But they kind of jumped.
Yeah.
They jumped.
Yeah.
So that's about a 5 or 6 year old phone, right?
Yes, it is.
So one thing that happens with phones, and it sounds like it might have happened, it won't even turn on, right?
No, it won't turn on at all.
And you could plug in the charger, but it still doesn't charge up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So yeah, it's exactly 5 years old. It came out March 11th, 2016. Wow. So it's what happens is these batteries have a certain lifespan, charge cycles. And after about 500 full charges and discharges, the chemistry stops. They don't take charge anymore. And my guess, I mean, it's impossible to know. There could be many other things wrong with a phone. But the first thing that goes is the battery. Now, here's the good news. The S7 was one of the last Samsungs that allowed you to peel off the back and put a new battery in, right?
Oh, okay.
I think so. I'm trying to remember, but I think you can.
You cannot, no, the S7, you cannot remove the battery. And the previous ones, I could remove the battery.
Oh, yeah, like the S5 you could, the S4 you could, not the 7.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, sorry to say, that means you're going to be taking a trip to a phone store. The good news is the battery, maybe $40, $50, won't be too expensive. The labor shouldn't be too much. It's really just taking the back off and putting it in. Yeah, any phone store might do it. But here's the deal. Now it's a 5-year-old phone. It might be a better idea just to get a new phone.
So that was my question, actually, to you. This is the situation. I have a warranty on that, like I have been paying on it, which I actually wanted to discontinue for a long time.
You've been paying for it for 5 years?
I know, exactly.
These phone companies make me so mad. You already paid for it several times over. Hey, look, I have to run. Hang on the line. I'll talk to you. I talked to you off the air. Rod Pyle coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So apparently somebody sells it for Samsung S7 battery replacement kit for $10. Are you still there? No, her phone died. Well, there you go. There you go. The phone died. But iFixit says the Samsung S7 battery replacement is difficult. So I think let somebody else do it for you. Call back if you want. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Call dropped. But we're going to do Mr. Pyle next anyway. So you have a Ferengi forehead?
No, I have Ferengi ears and a Klingon forehead.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Ferengi weren't much in the forehead. Actually, they kind of did, didn't they?
Yeah, they all did. You know, that was the best way to know it was an alien. It's a weird. Ferengis had butt heads.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of how much plastic you have all over your face. Those poor guys in the makeup trailers at 5 a.m.
Oh,
you know.
God.
I mean, if you're a captain or a commander or something, you get just stroll in and put on your uniform and your tummy tucker and go in and do your thing. But if you were an alien, you had to be there 3 hours early.
Hey, Rod, hang on for just a second because Afi is back and I just want to help.
Oh, good.
We got disconnected, Afi. I'm sorry.
No, another issue. I had my Bluetooth on and I had disconnected it, but I didn't disconnect the phone from Bluetooth, and I touched the Bluetooth and it cut me off from you.
Oh, anyway. Bluetooth. You'll never learn, will you, Bluetooth? Golly. So I only have a couple of minutes. What you're interested in getting a new phone? Is that it?
Okay, my question is this. I know the whole crazy thing about continuing the warranty, but that's another issue. My issue right now is this. In the past, like I would, if there was an issue, there was any issue, they would do the warranty exchange. But now...
Oh, it's a 5-year-old phone. There's no warranty on this thing, even though you've paid for it 3 times over.
No, we would do exchange for me, except that because I have dropped it like about 6 or 1 year ago, and there is a little crack on it, I think they're going to ask me to pay $150.
They shouldn't. You have paid for that phone over and over again. What's the phone company?
But there is T-Mobile.
So just go into the T-Mobile store and say, I'm going to leave you unless you give me a new phone. This is 5 years old. I found out I've been paying for it that whole time. What can you do for me? Be nice. But what can you do for me? They'll give you a free phone.
I will try that, but if it didn't work, my question is this. Do you think it's worth it to pay the $150 and they will not give me a brand new, they will give me a refurbished one, or should I just forget about the whole warranty?
What phone will they give you? Refurbished what?
Huh?
What phone? Refurbished what? 7?
Okay. They would, if they didn't have 7, they probably will go to the next one, like the 8.
7's too old. You don't want a 5-year-old phone.
I know.
For anything. You could get a brand new one for less than that because no one wants it.
Exactly.
So get it. My suggestion is you don't need to get the S21, which is the current one. But you could get the S10e, which was a fairly inexpensive one. That's going to be 4 years newer. I think you want a newer phone. That's too old. Part of the problem with Android is those old phones aren't getting security updates. It's unsafe.
Right. So I shouldn't pay then $150.
Don't give them any money. No. Get a new phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just get a new phone.
Yeah. And by the way, if they won't give you a new phone, you could switch carriers. They'll give you a new phone just for joining. They make so much money off of you. That's why they shouldn't charge you a penny. They've been making so much money off of you for the last 5 years. Just to keep you as a customer, they should offer you a new phone.
I have been with them since 2002. I actually have been paying for the company itself.
Yeah, tell them, I love you guys. I've been here 18 years, but I need a new phone.
Yeah.
I need a new phone.
Which carrier do you recommend that I go to?
T-Mobile's fine. They're very affordable. I would stay with T-Mobile if you like them.
Okay.
But Verizon or AT&T are pretty similar. I have to run, Afi. Thank you. I think it's going to be a long, long time. Well, it has been to see Rod Pyle, our space guy, the author of Space 2.0, editor-in-chief of the Ad Astra magazine of the National Space Society. He knows all about rockets and now knows all about COVID vaccine side effects. You're telling me you got the vaccine and then 2 weeks later you got the side effects?
Well, I think so. I mean, at first I was worried it might be the big C, but got tested for that and it wasn't. So it's the only thing we can figure. I see your chat rooms that people are speculating shingles and so forth, and I kind of went down the full list of symptoms and stuff,
your
but it
doctor
just didn't
knows
match
best.
anything.
Yeah, you talk to the doctor,
that's the thing. I got to go see, I'm a guy, right? So it's like,
you have
I'll wait 4 days, it'll go away.
You haven't gone to see the doctor? I know.
Not yet.
Okay.
I've been busy.
I'm sick. I don't want to go to the doctor now.
I get ready for Leo's show. I don't have time to go to the doctor.
Well, you're feeling fine now, right?
Yeah. So I get my next shot next week, and I'll cross my fingers.
Well, I got the same one you did. It had no effect at all on me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And
that's good to hear.
A week from Wednesday, I'm getting number 2. I am working that day, so I'm thinking, I hope I can make it through through the day. And then, because I tried to do it like on my Friday, so that I'd have 2 days off, and maybe if I did get sick, I could recover. How long did you stay under the weather?
About 4 days.
Okay.
So it wasn't the end of the world.
Okay.
It was just
I'm sorry.
inconvenient.
Hey, it's better than getting COVID. That's all I can say.
Well, that's for sure, and that's what I kept thinking. I said, okay, as long as it's not that, I'm not going to complain. So I was going to talk about atomic rockets today, which is a fun subject, but then something happened this week. We've talked about the SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission coming up, which is that thing that, Jared Isaacman decided to buy his own flight.
He bought it all up.
37 years old, a year younger than, I think, than Captain Kirk was supposed to be in Star Trek. Don't know why that matters, but there you go. And we were waiting to see who that last slot was going to be, right? So it was him, plus there was somebody from St. Jude's, a practitioner, then there was a donor to St. Jude's. And then the 4th seat was being held for somebody who would win by competition. So they had this kind of quiet Shark Tank kind of thing where everybody who entered on the Super Bowl ad was considered. And something interesting happened. I mean, I assumed it would be some Joe or Jane average, to kind of make the point that anybody can fly, because we've been talking for years about space tourists and all that. Turned out there's this woman who I've worked with a number of times named Cyan Proctor, who she kind of modeled herself as an analog astronaut. And this is kind of a millennials and younger thing. People in my generation didn't get to do this because nobody would take us seriously. But the idea is that you do ground studies. You go to the Utah desert and do a Mars simulation, or you go to Hawaii to do a lunar simulation or something.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, and you're kind of, you're doing STEM outreach and so forth. But and she's not, this is not an inexperienced person. She's in her early 50s. She's got a master's degree in geology and a doctorate in science education. So she's had a lot of experience.
Sounds like a good choice.
Been on television and so forth, right? She's African-American female. So she was selected. And we were all jumping out of our pants because it's like, wait, they picked somebody we know, right?
That's
this
awesome.
Kind of legitimizes this whole thing. So it's going to be in September, this launch. What I thought was actually almost more interesting, though, is that this is going to be their first reused capsule. They're going to reuse the one from the Crew 1 mission that's still docked up at the station. So they got to bring that thing home, do a quick refurbish, and send it back up.
Not too quick.
Yeah.
Not too
quick.
But fix the holes.
This is the only thing since the space shuttle, other than the space shuttle, that's ever been reused, which is pretty amazing.
How long is this Inspiration 4 flight? Where are they going, and how long is it going to last?
They're just going to low Earth orbit, and it's going to be 3 days plus transit time, so about 4 days.
So it's pretty cool.
Not going to the space station.
Okay. No docking involved.
No, and in fact, where the docking node is up at the nose, now I don't know when they were planning to do this. I didn't see a date yet, but SpaceX is planning to put a little plexiglass bubble up there. So you can, or actually it may not be plexiglass, it may be
so they have
quartz glass.
A viewport.
Yeah, you'll be able to pop your head up. And by the way, back in the day when you and I were just whippersnappers, Disney had one of those, Man Conquers Space things.
Yeah, I remember.
They did.
Yeah.
And it had a little capsule-shaped thing with a little glass bubble at the top that you could fly. This will be, the upside-down version of that. But how cool would it be to be able to just kind of drift up and stick your head in this bubble and have this total... it's the next best thing to a spacewalk, right? It's like sticking your head in a space helmet. So I thought that was pretty darned exciting.
So along with Dr. Proctor, you've got, and Jared, of course, who's the mission benefactor, Jared Isaacman, who paid all that money. We don't know how much, but all that money to buy the 4 seats. Haley Arsenault is going. She's a physician's assistant at St. Jude's.
Right. And a cancer survivor.
Yes, St. Jude's saved her life as a child. So that's cool. And then a guy named Chris Sembrowski. How did he get in there?
I think because he was a donor.
He gave money.
Yeah, and then the fourth seat was open.
Nice.
So this is.
I wonder if these people though they're going to get. I'd be if it were me, I'd be sitting on top of the rocket. You got a minute or two. I'd be thinking, why did I think this was a good idea?
Wait a minute.
Tell me again why I thought this was a good idea. There's an explosion going to happen right behind me. Launch me into space. Wow.
Well, but I tell you what you wouldn't be thinking, which is, dang, this thing is small.
Is it big?
Because they ran another picture, and I haven't been inside the Crew Dragon since they unveiled it, but they ran a picture of it in an article when they made this announcement this week. And I was just reminded of how big it is, especially with only 4 seats. I mean, it's really large.
It kind of looks, I hate to say it, and remember, this is Elon Musk's company. It kind of looks like a Tesla.
Yeah. Glass panels, very similar.
Yeah, you look like
cool.
you're riding in a Tesla. Now, do they get out of these seats and float around or anything?
Let me just say, I feel my girlfriend's got a Tesla 3, and whenever I get in there, I feel like I'm riding in something designed by IKEA.
Yeah.
You know, this kind of big wood grain panel and a TV set.
No,
right?
this looks more like a Model X, actually.
Yeah.
So, wow. And there's a little hatch at the top, and so they can float up and look out that window at the top.
Eventually, yeah. And so, they'll be weightless throughout the mission. So they are just in orbit. They're not going to the space station.
How much is this going to cost, Jared? How much does it cost?
I would guess between 60 and 80 million. Which, to those guys is kind of a rounding error, isn't it?
Is it? Is that wealthy, huh?
He's pretty wealthy.
Wow.
I mean, he's wealthy enough to do that. Oh, and Jared's the commander. And Cyan is going to be the pilot because she's got some flight background.
I'm glad they brought her on.
But no professional astronaut.
Well,
so
what is that?
Not only
that doesn't mean
well, but what it means is, this is the first time that anybody is flying into space without somebody from a space agency at the controls. So when that red light starts flashing,
So maybe they could say, hey, we're not coming back. We'd like to stay out here a little longer. And nobody would have anything to say about it. They just...
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know what agreement she's made with NASA on that score.
Could you have a mutiny in space, the first mutiny? It'd be history.
Well, there are some people, and Emily Carney, my friend who started Space Hipsters, is going to shoot me for this. There are some people that like to talk about Skylab 3 being the first mutiny in space.
That was famous.
But it wasn't a mutiny.
No, they deny it. We talked about that.
Brief work stoppage.
We talked about that. They deny it.
Yeah.
Mr. Rod Pyle, when is inspiration for launching into space?
September.
Soon.
Third week of September.
So they're going to get a few months of training.
Yeah. But not as much as you'd expect. So,
Not much.
I mean, that's a lot of faith in automated systems now, isn't it?
Wow.
And that's something you could talk about,
They're brave. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I used to have a Model X. I'm not sure I'd trust it. Rod Pyle, author, Space 2.0, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine. You should subscribe, and you should actually be a member of the National Space Society. Find out more at space.nss.org. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you, sir.
I would hope these guys are going to get some time in the vomit comet so they can can acclimate to zero gravity because, you don't know. You might be sick for 4 days.
Yeah, and you don't want to be floating through that stuff for sure.
Ugh.
That we discovered early on in the space program.
Yeah.
And there's room in this thing, which in a way would make that less of a painful experience.
They're going to bring some bags along with them just in case.
Yeah, but I mean, like you say, if you're sick for 3 days out of 4, how much fun is that? It's like being on a cruise and spending your first 7 days on Benadryl, and sleeping in the cabin or something. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And what I don't know is if they're using a reused booster. I suspect they're not, but I thought it was interesting that they're using a reused capsule. And Inspiration dropped its helicopter. Mama dropped its baby.
Oh, we should have mentioned that. Well, they haven't flown it yet, right?
No, they just set it down, but that was a big deal. And then they backed up to an overlook, and they're a little overwatch position, and they're waiting for the right time to take off.
They're being very careful. This is moving very slowly, which is good.
Yeah.
They want this to be a success. Wow.
But they did want to make sure they got... So it went from the bottom of the rover down to the ground, short drop a few inches, but they want to make sure they back the rover off right away because it needs to get sunlight to charge its batteries so it can stay warm at night because you have to run little heaters and stuff. So it's on its own now. Baby's flown the coop.
Oh, there she is all alone out there.
Isn't it cute?
Aw. But they haven't fired up the rotors yet, right? She's just...
I don't think so. I don't think they've done a rotor test. It did unfold, and everything seems to be working fine. And it's supposed to fly in about a week. So we'll get our first little, shortly after that, our first little movie of it going up and setting down.
That's cool.
I mean, at this point, it's like watching a good SpaceX landing of the Falcon, right? At this point, it's like, oh yeah, we've seen all this stuff before.
But these
are
still
firsts.
Get chills. I still get chills. No,
I know.
I love it.
I mean, it still feels like an Apollo 11 moment to me every time this stuff happens.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Oh, April 11th is their first flight, so it'll be 1 week from today, so we can talk about it next week, maybe.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Good. Thank you, Rod. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't realize it was 2 weeks after the shot. That's weird.
Yeah, which makes me wonder. I saw somebody on your chat was saying maybe it's, shingles and something else. I mean, it didn't hurt much.
What? Okay, I'll give you a little tip.
Yeah.
Don't take medical diagnoses from chat. It's a little something I've learned over the years.
Okay. That's fair.
Maybe Dr. Mom, but everybody else, I don't know. You could, who knows? You could have gotten a flu. You could have gotten sick.
Yeah.
Although,
or I could have just worn a really dirty hat.
How does anybody get sick when they're, masking and social distancing and washing your hands all the time? But people somehow do. I don't know how.
Well, that was the thing. Somebody said, well, maybe I got the flu. And I said, how did I get the flu living on a boat by myself? That's hard to do. I'd have to go lick doorknobs.
So you didn't call anybody? You didn't ask a doctor or anything?
Well, I called Kaiser and made an appointment to make an appointment to see a doctor. Yeah.
But did you tell him I'm having a reaction 2 weeks later?
I went through their automated interface that said, you're fine. So I called separately and made an appointment, so I'll be talking to them
Apparently,
tomorrow.
Dr. Mom, who is a physician, says reactions are common 7 days after the vaccine, but this was 14 days.
Well, I got to listen to her. Well, maybe it was 10 days.
You're slow.
I'm an outlier.
You're
hey.
slow.
Yeah, well, in so many ways.
He's a nice guy, but he's always been a little slow. So maybe, so it's 10 days. Well, maybe then that was. And that's probably why Kaiser wasn't all worried. It does seem like that lasted a long time.
Well, and Kaiser, don't forget, you're going through an electronic checklist, right? So
yeah.
It's like,
no, I'm Kaiser. Yeah. I'm Kaiser too. So.
Are you?
Yeah. So if I get
sick,
are
you getting a call every night saying, "Are you preparing for Medicare?"
Yes. Gonna run. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for letting me be the tech guy. You're a tech guy every week. I can't believe it. I really appreciate the honor. Thanks to, of course, my elves, my little helpers here. Professor Laura, our musical director, who spins those great discs during our re-entries from our commercial breaks. And she pushes all the buttons, does all the doohickeys and knobs and dials. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, she does all the answering of the phones, which is also a lot of work. So thank you both for being here. Thank you most of all to you, because couldn't do it without you. Be just silly to sit here talk the whole time, nobody listening. That's like my first 10 years in radio. Mark on the line from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Leo. It's good to talk to you again, my friend.
Good to talk to you. What's up?
Well, sorry, I don't have a microphone question, but...
yeah, this seems to be the week for that. No, I'm not sorry. Thank you.
All right, just a quickie to start. I have a Pixel XL, which is 4 or 5 years old, just like...
The original Pixel XL.
Yeah, and I love it, but, no updates and the battery's dying.
Yep, that's like our last caller, like Afi, yep.
Exactly, and you've recommended the Pixel 4a for its economical ability.
It's a great phone.
$349.
Yeah.
Yep. I like the big screen. Can I get something with a big screen that's not $800 or $1,000?
So the company I'd look at this point is Motorola. They make a lot of different Motos. They are very much like the Pixel in the sense that they're pure Android. They don't add a lot of extra features to it. And they are all mid-range or lower. I would say they just came out with a G9, but I think they also have they have a new Moto that I think is like a 6.5-inch screen. Let me see if I can find it. I just read about it, heard a review. It's kind of based on their Edge design, which I thought was quite a nice design. I would take a look at the Motorola's.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, I think the price is right. Probably you're not going to get these from a carrier. You're going to get it online and then put a SIM in it or get the carrier to activate it. But I think they're quite good. The G9 just came out. My daughter needs a good battery, so I got her the G9 battery. That's a 6.8-inch display. But for some reason, I feel like it's pretty big. It's tall. It's weird big. It's not, it's funny because ages ago, Google released a phone, it was a 6-inch screen, but it wasn't tall. It was wide and tall, and it felt huge, much bigger than the current phones. I think they're smart going up as opposed to out. So I would take a look at the G9 if you like a big screen. I think that's a good choice. And man, it's not expensive. They range.
Okay, can I ask you one more thing?
Sure.
And this will get you talking, I think. I'm curious about bank apps on phones versus, just going through a browser to the bank at home. Difference in security? How secure are they?
I would say probably more secure than using the web. It depends, though, how the bank has implemented it. It's not hard, and it's usually the first iteration of any app, even the first Facebook app, to make it just a window to the website, in which case you'd have no advantages. But most banks now have had enough time to develop their own apps, and some of the things you'll get with an app that you won't get with a website is the use of the face recognition or the fingerprint reader as a way to log in, which is absolutely a better way to do it. It's a lot easier for you, and it's very secure. So that's one step. I would say the apps are probably going to be more secure. There's no guarantee. It depends how they developed it. But I always use the app.
Okay, good enough. I will too then.
Yeah, I think the app's more secure. The Motorola G Power is only $200, but the thing is, when you go to Motorola, look at all their phones because they've got a broad range. Maybe it's I think it's the Moto 1 they just announced, the Motorola 1. And they're about $300 and also very big screens. So yeah, I think you'd be very happy.
Great, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. There's that's the big advantage in Android. It's, by the way, just exactly the same thing as the big advantage in PCs is the variety. When you get an iPhone or a Mac, there's only one company making it. And Apple gets to decide what's available. But when you get an Android phone, there's literally thousands of companies making them. Some of them not very good. So it is worth reading the reviews, but at least you get the choice. Screen size, fingerprint versus face recognition. Do you want a headphone jack? The Motorola's still have headphone jacks. Like that. Last call of the day. Cheryl in Pomona, California. Hi, Cheryl. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I'm trying to help someone with severe hearing loss
Okay.
get a clear caption device.
Okay.
They have to have the requirements of having a landline at home. They've met that one. They can get, the doctor's note that says this person can have the free device. But Spectrum is being beat because they wanted to have like a full package just to have the internet that connects to the phone.
Oh,
Is there a way that we can make sure this person can have this and make it easier for them? I thought maybe there might be some kind of special aerial to pick up on a Wi-Fi signal or something else to get the internet to the landline device, which seems like an oxymoron, but it's true.
They're requiring internet access? This is something new. This did not used to be.
Have to have internet, because as an example, Spectrum.
It must be a way they're saving money.
Well, yes, but you can also use her iPhone and have it, and put it on the iPhone, but she doesn't have a cell phone, and she's not going to get an iPhone. So if she has a landline phone, most people don't. That she already meets that requirement, and that she's hard of hearing. The biggest hurdle now is to get the internet to that phone. They're apparently like some emergency devices, like the people hang around their necks and wrists. Those are a separate line of a connection that's 24/7 to that little device. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. The Spectrum's going to be cooperating. Is there another way we can go around that?
Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. I am not an expert in this stuff, and I just don't know what other choices there are. I can't imagine that clear captions is the only choice here. There must be. Yeah. I just don't know. There must be other choices than clear captions. I'm looking at the clear captions website and it says, yeah, you have to have active internet service. I think that's not a good thing. And, certainly I've seen teletext systems that didn't require internet service that used the phone to do that. So I'm thinking.
Android, maybe the clear caption app yet does not have it for Android. So that would be some simple to get a phone and have it on an Android device. But you have to have the landline right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can hardly. Something's wrong with your phone. I can hardly understand what you're saying, and I don't have much help for you either. I'm sure what you need, and well, it's different in every part of the country. But what you need is a nonprofit that helps people with accessibility solutions, an independent living resource center or the like. And I'm sure there is one in Pomona. I just don't have a number for you, I'm afraid. I'm out of time, too, which doesn't help. Gosh, I feel bad. I really want to help. If anybody has some suggestions, the website, techguylabs.com, is open. There's no sign up, and you can leave comments there. And if you would, please help out our caller. And if you have an answer, maybe you're deaf yourself and help out Cheryl. TechGuyLabs.com. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thank you for being here. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.